Always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I gotta supply that fire. I supply that fire. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Bump. Happy birthday to me. What is up, you beautiful bookworms, and welcome back to another episode of Bookmarks with Bump. I am your host, Bump. Typically, on this podcast, we go over all sorts of things, and the purpose is to motivate, encourage, and let you know you could still be a dog while being a dummy. Basically, I go through threads that I've bookmarked on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it Twitter for the rest of my life. But I go through my bookmarks, I read them out, and typically there's something related to fitness, to your mindset, to goal setting, to conspiracies, to any type of topic that I find interesting, and we go through them thread by thread. I figured it'd be a nice way to clear out the bookmark section of my Twitter because I just sit down and I never really go through them. So I thought, what better way to go through them than build a platform from it? I like to think that I'm always being encouraging, and that's been my purpose. That's been what I've been called to in life, and this is a great way for me to put it out. But today we're doing something a little bit different. As you're hearing this, 4 a.m. Sunday, March 16th, it is my birthday. It is my 31st birthday. I'll hold for applause. Thank you very much. It is my 31st birthday, and I'm a very reflective person. I oftentimes sit down and go over the things that I've been through in life to figure what I could learn as I navigate through daily life. Through my experience as a personal trainer and a 7-year sober former addict and somebody who's been through the ups and downs in life, I figure I have a lot of insight and things to share, and a lot of that comes from personal experience. Going through day-to-day life of somebody who has had the trials and tribulations and struggles that I fully admit to putting myself through most of them, if not all of them. The accountability is a major factor in succeeding through all of that, but nonetheless, I oftentimes have to sit down and reflect to do better the next go-around. I believe in the value of chances, and I'm grateful for every second chance that I've gotten, and I think that's part of the reason why the ethic that I hold is so strong. I think it's based on the fact that I've ruined one thing before. You get that thing again, you better take damn care of it. So I am the embodiment of that, and in order to do that, you have to be extremely reflective. This is kind of a different type of episode for me. It's not very easy for me to talk about myself without feeling like I'm gloating or feeling like I'm being cocky or overconfident. It is something that I unintentionally emanate, but it's also because I'm extremely proud of the person that I've put the work in to become. But I will say that going into the 31st year, this birthday is a little bit different than the last, let's say, 5 or 6. I've put a lot of work into myself, and from my mid-20s to where I am now at 31, I've finally done it. I've finally done it is what I feel like, and in this past week, it's what I felt like. I'm actually proud of what I've achieved in this past year. The last few years, to be quite frank with you, I've been very down on myself this period of time. When you turn the corner and when you have a birthday, it if you're not reflective, it's something that's going to make you reflect. What have I done with this past year? And I didn't really have the proper lens the last few years to still recognize the things that I was doing and doing well. And just to really drive that home, this year, I feel like I did everything I was supposed to. And I'm not sure exactly what it was that I was missing the last few years, but I do know that I did not feel as excited or as accomplished as I have this year. Um, this is a year that I'm very proud of. This is a year where I've had things and lost things, and I'm still here and motivated. There have been times in the past where I've lost my motivation. Um, where I felt like I was just going through the motions. And this is even the last couple years. I'm still racing. There's still at least one race where I'd get a medal at, and I was still accomplishing things, but I never really had goals set over the last 4 years or so. I didn't really strive for everything. Everything that I wanted, the things that I wanted that were in the back of my mind, I didn't really put on the forefront like I had this past year. Taking the races that I signed up for more serious. And I had to have a hiccup to have that major wake-up call in the Torrington Road Race. That was the first time that I ever regressed over the last 5 years of running. 6 years of running. It was the first time that I had a regression. Now, in that moment, boom, there's something that I could reflect on and be upset about myself and continue to harp on myself about. Except I did the right thing this year, which is I found the next race that I was going to do. I would set a goal and stick to the goal, because the goal that I really had for the Torrington Road Race, it wasn't anything really commendable. It wasn't anything for me to feel accomplished over all the things that I've achieved in the past 6 years. I just wanted to go out and do okay. And I think that was the first time I ever signed up for a race and felt that way. And I'm not really sure what that's all about, but I know that the next race I signed up for, I wanted to make a huge stride, because it brought about the ultimate goal for me, which was a goal in 2019. And after I ran in my very first half marathon, I wanted to run in the Boston Marathon, and I got into the work that I needed to do it. I had an injury and a hiccup in 2020, and here I can sit and make all these excuses. But this year, when I had a failure, I didn't make an excuse. I'm back in form. I could put myself into better shape, and I did. I went out and I ran a 10K. Surprisingly, a race distance that I've never ran before, but a race nonetheless. And I set a goal and I beat that goal. And I went home with some decorations. And that's always something to, I mean, that's one thing right there that I'm really proud of myself, of taking the chance to not really sit in defeat. We all have our chances, and we all will on a daily basis. If you look at life through this lens, like, I can fail. And when you fail, not only did you expect it, but in a way, did you manifest it by bringing up that possibility? Because the next race that I went into, I thought there was no way that I could fail, and there I was, smashing the goal that I had laid out for myself. And that's just part of the racing, right? And that is the goal that keeps me in shape. And I ran in 2 or 3 races every year for the past 5 or 6 years, but I upped it last year, and I strived for something. And that brought about the ultimate goal of running in the Boston Marathon, and here I am moving forward, calculated in that way. Because I showed myself that I can set a goal and break it. And sometimes when we fail, that's exactly what we need to do. We fail, and we can't really harp on ourselves, because that's just one little blip in the entire story of our lives. That one failure might not even be a whole chapter. It might not even be a whole page of the book of our lives. You just have to set a new goal. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on goal setting either. Moving forward through the racing, the other thing that I'm extremely proud of is, like, the last few years, I'm thinking of how I'm getting older, and here I am in the same situation, and continuing to make excuses for why I'm in this situation. I mean, to be very open, I had a bad credit score. And at that point, I had signed up for a couple credit cards. I had signed up for a couple student loans, and I got denied for everything the last couple years. So I thought it was kind of impossible for me to build credit and be somebody who could get into their own place. And that was something that I wasn't really happy with for the last few years. And I just sat in that. And this year, I tried again. And what would you know? I got a little credit card with a $300 limit, and I started building credit that way, and I'm in the 700s now. And that's something that I never really thought would be possible because I told myself it wouldn't be possible. And then I set a goal, and what did I do? I smashed it. And so next weekend, I'm moving into my very first own place. And that to me is a very extremely freeing feeling. That to me is something that has been weighing me down for the last few years. I won't say that my parents haven't wanted me around. I'm extremely helpful to them, and they're extremely grateful for me. And I'm extremely grateful for them because I don't know if I was a parent that I'd be able to handle all of the things that I've put them through as my time as an addict, as my time getting locked up, as my time... Basically, as my time as an addict is a long excuse for a long string of erratic and unbearable behavior. That's one thing about being a sober person that a lot of people can have a fault in. They can be under the pressure of immense shame a lot. And every year when it would come to my next birthday and I wasn't in my own place and I didn't have credit cards, I didn't think I could build credit, I was reminded of that shame. And I think that's part of the thing that brought me down so much. And for me, I understand what second chances are, but I also understand that the trust has to be rebuilt in relationships that you destroy. When you are... We can sit here and say going through what you're going through, but when I look back on that time in my life, I give myself really no excuses. I'm upset with who I was then because I know that I hurt a lot of people that I cared, that I really did care about, but I don't know if I knew how to care about people. I don't know if I knew how to show them how much I really cared about them. I don't know if I knew how to put effort into people the way that I needed to. That was something that I wasn't proud of the person that I was about. And this year I had the opportunity to show myself that I could do that. And that means the world to me. To just know that I'm not a terrible person. Because a lot of times when you're doing terrible things, you think to yourself that you're terrible. And some things are just out of our control. Some things... Some of the things that we do are terrible, but that doesn't make you a terrible person. But I really had to prove that to myself. And that's what a second chance is, especially when you've put people through so much. A second chance is a chance that you really have to prove yourself. People don't forget things. Sometimes people may be forgetful, but things that made tremendous impacts on them in a negative or positive way, they don't forget those things. Those are things that stick with people their entire lives, and they'll always remember the special things or the hurtful things, the things that you have to avoid or the things that you have to magnetize yourself to. And I remember everything that I've ever done to people, so I'm sure that people remember everything I've done to them. And so I have to continuously prove to people that I am a better person than I ever used to be. And yearly, I would come around and think about those types of things. And this year, I didn't give myself the chance to. I just kept moving forward. I just kept making people proud and making myself proud. And I think if you want to feel achievement, if you want to feel that satisfaction in life, don't worry if you are making them proud or not, just know that you're doing things that would. Um, they say to always act like somebody's watching, whatever. You should always be trying to make somebody proud. Because at the end of the day, you'll be really proud about yourself. And this year, I'm proud of myself. And I haven't had that in the last few years. And some people may be shocked to hear that, but that's the truth. I really get down on myself when my birthday comes around. Well, I can't say that anymore because I don't, but I used to. And that feels good to say. It feels good to be moving into this year with goals set ahead of me. It feels good to be moving forward still. I think that's a thought that people have about mortality too when their birthday comes around. That can sink in for them. Oh, I'm getting older. A lot of days I feel younger than I did the next day. There are days I wake up very sore. I'm hurting, but I'm still moving. And I'm doing things that I couldn't do when I was younger, so I feel younger than I ever did. I think that's important. I think that's something we should all do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that our year-to-year basis is on the up and up. That's probably another reason why I'm so proud of myself this year. We can go back to running for a little, but when I was able to track my timing more seriously this year and really, really strive to hit better paces, I realized that I'm faster than I've ever been. And a lot of that is due to the way that I trained this year opposed to years before, especially the first race of the year this past year. I just wasn't putting the effort there. And I think a lot of that is what it has been for the last few years, is that I wasn't putting extreme effort there. I was going through the motions and just really checking off boxes. But checking off boxes in life is not enough to feel fulfilled. I can tell you that from experience. Life is not a to-do list. Don't look at it like it is. It's important to have one, but don't look at life like a to-do list. And I think a lot of that came to me this year. I was reminded that every single moment is special. Because there's something special in every moment if you're looking for it. But you have to look for it. You have to have eyes to see, and you have to have ears to hear. And that's what separates the wheat from the tare. And I think that's another thing that I'm proud about myself this year. I feel like I've separated the wheat from the tare, and I've been able to prove to myself so much more this year than I have in years before. And in more cases than not, I'm successful. And that's really something that I'm able to pat myself on the back again. And this is something that I can also hold on to going forward, because it's not going to be like every birthday is going to feel like this. I can tell you that much right now. It's not. It's going to have the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs of life. Those will always be there. Just be prepared for it and understand that no matter how bad things are, no matter how bad things can get, they do get better. How cliche to say, huh, Bump? Happy birthday, kiddo. No, but seriously, you're gonna have bad times and you're gonna have good times. And be aware of the bad times when times are good, but remember the good times when times are bad. I really don't feel like talking about myself anymore. That was really I don't know. I don't think embarrassing is the word, but I feel like it was very self-serving, and that's not what we're here to do. But I just hope that by sharing my experiences and sharing what I have navigated so far in life, I hope that I was able to encourage or motivate one of you, my beautiful bookworms. I'm That's what I'm called to do. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I was put on this planet for. One way or another, I'm going to do it. Gosh darn it. But I think I'm done talking about myself. I don't have any topics for this week. I wanted to do a nice little SNL-style long monologue about myself. I didn't really want to. It's just it's the idea I had when I popped on the microphone, and I had to give myself something for my birthday. I won't even give myself a day off. I'm too much of a dog. But I want to talk about the dogs right now. I want to dive into a little segment I like to call...
Here we go! Buck, here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Here we go! Yeah, here we go!
Ballin' with Bump, yes. Last week, we talked about some of the trades that were happening in the beginning of the offseason, letting you know that football is alive and year-round. And things will interest you. We talked about Deebo Samuel getting traded to the Washington Commanders for a 5th-round pick. How unbelievable is that? Did the Patriots know Deebo was available for a 5th-round pick? I'm not sure. We also talked about the cap casualties. It is death week, the week before the free agency period begins, and that's what this week is. It's always the week of my birthday. It's always such a great gift to me. Today, as we record this, it's the 11th. The 2025 free agency period officially begins on March 12th at 4 p.m. However, teams can begin negotiating with unrestricted free agents during the legal tampering period, which starts on March 10th. So as of yesterday, by the end of the 4 o'clock hour, there was over $2 billion in contracts handed out to, well, I can't say handed out, earned by NFL players league-wide. Today, there have been some really interesting signings, a lot of movement happening, and I wanted to go over position by position who's still out there. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are basically the two left vying for the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback position. The Giants were looking into Aaron Rodgers, but things kind of are silent there, and we're also dealing with Aaron Rodgers, who will take his sweet time and force one of these teams to sign somebody regardless, or draft somebody. But also, the Giants are definitely a team that's in the market to draft a quarterback, whether it be Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. But Aaron Rodgers could come in and coach up the young guy. The Giants actually did cover their asses because they did not have a quarterback signed until they re-signed Tommy DeVito. So Tommy Cutlets will be returning back to the red, white, and blue. Jameis Winston is still out there. Jacoby Brissett's still out there. Marcus Mariota, Mason Rudolph, Mac Jones, and Joe Flacco. So other than really Jameis, Russell, Aaron, Jacoby, I think they're all definite starters for sure. Joe Flacco, he could also redeem himself after the year he had last year with the Colts. And speaking of the Colts signed Daniel Jones to come in and compete for the quarterback position in Indiana. It'll be interesting to see how Anthony Richardson can respond to this. Maybe this is something that could help him progress as a player. We'll see, though. And they always say when you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Justin Fields signed with the New York Jets for 2 years, $40 million, which is a great contract for the guy. He did prove himself going 4-2 with the Steelers last year until they plopped in Russell Wilson. I almost said Russell Westbrook. They'd probably be better if they had Westbrook at quarterback. He's got fresher legs, hasn't taken as many hits. The biggest contract, though, and the biggest shock is after Geno Smith was traded to the Oakland Raiders to be reunited with his old head coach, Pete Carroll, over there, Sam Darnold signed with the Seattle Seahawks for 3 years, $100 million. A contract that he did definitely earn last year, and his play with the Vikings was great for the first 15 weeks. He did kind of fall apart after that, but who knows what happened, and he did put together a resume that's been bolstered, this type of contract, I guess, if you look at the first 15 games or so. Also, you got to look at the upside with Sam Darnold. At the end of this contract, he'll be 30 years old. The guy's only 26 or 27 years old. He's been in the league forever, but he's still young, and he still has a lot of upside. People were saying when he was back up for the 49ers that he had some of the best arm talent they'd ever seen. Like, you have to just have the composure. And there were times last year where Sam Darnold showed he didn't have the composure in the biggest moments. He took that safety in the game against the Rams. There were a lot of issues I had with the way Sam Darnold played, but I'm also no quarterback whisperer or head coach. He won a lot of games. He had a lot of talent surrounding him. That's the other thing. The Seattle Seahawks are most notably just getting rid of their biggest wide receivers with Tyler Lockett, who's been with the franchise for seemingly 20 years, and then DK Metcalf was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers are trying to land a quarterback to pair the George Pickens and DK Metcalf duo, and Pat Freiermuth is another target over there in Pittsburgh who could get the ball and make a play. It's just all about getting the ball to him. Last year, they seemed to have some issues down the stretch with Russell Wilson as well. So the word on the street was that they offered a contract to Justin Fields. He decided to go to New York and play for the cursed Jets, but they're under new leadership, so we'll see there. The running backs that are available still are J.K. Dobbins and Nick Chubb. Rico Dowdle, Kareem Hunt, Gus Edwards, Miles Sanders, and Kyle Juszczyk was released by the 49ers, another staple of that team. Kareem Hunt will sign with some team, probably the Chiefs again, week 8 in the season, and rush for 10 touchdowns and be a great waiver wire pickup in fantasy. Javonte Williams signed with the Cowboys, heading from the Broncos. He's going from being a Bronco to being a Cowboy, so his MO is to ride the Broncos all year. J.K. Dobbins is still on the board, you see, and that's interesting because Najee Harris signed with Los Angeles. He signed with the Chargers, taking over J.K.'s spot. J.K. had a great year last year, a good bounce-back year. And Aaron Jones re-signed with Minnesota, so he'll stay put in Minnesota, 2 years, $20 million. While all those other guys are waiting for some money. I don't see a world where the Cleveland Browns don't re-sign Nick Chubb. He just seems like a guy who's going to play and be loyal to that team. They did just manage to grab Myles Garrett back from the depths of heaven. I don't know. He seemed to be sick of playing for Cleveland, playing without a winning culture, and he wanted to go somewhere that emphasized winning. And the next thing you know, they throw $40 million at him, and he's coming right back. So Myles Garrett re-signs with the Browns, and I'm forecasting Nick Chubb will also re-sign, just like Chris Godwin, who re-signed with Tampa Bay, 3 years, $66 million. Coming off a tough injury last year, he really tore up his leg, and on his way off the field, you could actually hear it was caught on mic. He said back to work. So that's the type of dog that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have always known they've had. Super Bowl winner, being paired with Mike Evans, it's just sometimes it's just unfair. Baker Mayfield seemed to really hit his stride last year, and I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't facing much competition in the NFC South, so they could probably slide right through back into the playoffs again, and I'm excited to see them run it back. Amari Cooper and Stephon Diggs still don't have contract from the Bills, so they're still out there because Khalil Shakir got a huge contract this year. Devontae Adams, he left the Jets. He signed with the Los Angeles Rams for 2 years and $46 million, which he is absolutely deserving of top-notch wide receiver money. He came into the Jets and really helped Aaron out down the stretch there when they started to look better than they did earlier in the season. And I'm not one to give up on Aaron Rodgers at this point either. The first year back from an Achilles injury has to be really tough, especially how fast he prepared. He prepared to and expected and was hoping to play by the end of that season, and he probably, if they made it into the playoffs, it would have been interesting to see if he came back to play that season. So who knows how how much more intensive was that rehab? But this isn't about him. This is about the wide receivers. Marquise Brown re-signed with Kansas City, 1 year up to $11 million. Now, this is another interesting little tidbit here because Darius Slayton re-signed with the New York Giants for 3 years to $36 million, but they couldn't give that money to Saquon. Look at what Saquon's got. Joshua Palmer signed with the Buffalo Bills, giving Josh Allen another weapon. Joshua Palmer is a player who, on the Los Angeles Chargers, I feel like if he wasn't surrounded by so much wide receiver talent, he'd probably have way crazier numbers than he ended up having. Nonetheless, De'Ami Brown is going from the Washington Commanders to Jacksonville on a $10 million contract for a year. Tutu Atwell re-signed with Los Angeles, so now you have that trio of Tutu Atwell, who's a proven weapon deep, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. They're shipping Cooper Kupp off to wherever he decides to go to. He's open to look for any trades. Oh, I didn't hear this. Mac Hollins signed with the New England Patriots, so that gives Drake May another deep threat. That's pretty cool. I was hoping some more of these guys who aren't signed yet would end up with us, or even somebody like Zay Jones, who re-signed with the Arizona Cardinals on 1 year, $4.4 million. Justin Watson is going from the Chiefs to the Texans. Nothing listed there yet, but Tyler Lockett, Tim Patrick, Tyler Johnson, and Robert Woods are all still on the board, as well as Juju Smith-Schuster, Nelson Aguilar, some older guys really. Tyler Boyd is still out there after T. Higgins gets the franchise tag. Actually, I don't even think Tyler Boyd was with the... Yeah, no, he was with the Titans last year. Anyway, maybe he'll come up to New England. Deontay Johnson, I don't know. He kind of walked himself off a few teams. So for New England, we could still get Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs or Amari Cooper or some really elite talent up into the locker room. Austin Hooper re-signed with New England for 1 year and $5 million. Really no notable tight ends up there except for maybe Evan Ingram, who didn't get as much shine over the last 2 seasons as he did in the year they went to the playoffs and played really well. He was a very versatile weapon for Trevor Lawrence, and then he seemingly dropped out of the game plan for whatever reason. Morgan Moses signed with the New England Patriots, giving Drake May some serious protection, which is something that he's needed all season. Nobody made as many plays last year as Drake May did, where there wasn't supposed to be a play there. That is a proven fact. Moving on, the Miami Dolphins finally signed somebody. They went pretty much all day yesterday without signing anybody until they signed Larry Borum, a tackle. No contract information at this point yet, but Khalil Mack re-signed with Los Angeles. Josh Sweat left the Philadelphia Eagles after getting his Super Bowl and is now going to the Arizona Cardinals for 4 years and $76 million to be reunited with his defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. Hassan Reddick is going from the Jets to Tampa Bay. He probably didn't like the weather up north, so that's why he decided to go down to the Buccaneers. And you know what the Buccaneers can do with a pass rusher. So Zadarius Smith is still out there. Come on home to New England. Come on home to New England. I'd love to see some of that. And we had some serious, I'm looking for the contracts here, but I don't think they're up. We had some serious movement from punters and kickers today. We saw some punters get some real money. And all of this actually is bringing me around to this. It really derives from a conversation that I was having with one of my buddies, but the thing about players not really sticking around on teams and going from team to team and just chasing the money, going after the bag, if you will, I understand that it's really a meritocracy. Sports is the last known meritocracy remaining, as far as I can understand. and you really earn your keep when it comes to being a professional athlete. The better you are, the better you get paid. Now, every year the salary cap increases, and this creates new problems because it creates this vacuum where year after year after year, players who aren't as deserving as other players are making the most money because that's just the way the cap percentage works, and it works in their favor every year. Somebody with no playoff wins can be making $46 million a year, while somebody who's won 3 Super Bowls is making 40. And that was the highest contract at the time when they signed it. And it's constantly a constant rotation of the highest contract, the highest contract, and the highest contract. And I will say this right now, Roger, we as common people don't care about the highest contract. And we don't care about our favorite player leaving because they were offered the highest contract and they couldn't say no. I'm all for these people who have put their whole lives into their work to earn what they feel they deserve, to earn life-changing money. Because they changed their lives in order to be the person that they are out there on the field. I often say that athletes are sometimes like superheroes. Like, we think that we could do the things that they can do, but we just simply can't. And they make it a better game. They make it something more enjoyable to watch, so they deserve all the money that comes in to the league. But also, if the salary cap is going to be $279 million, and there's 53 people on a team, why isn't everybody okay with taking a $5.26 million contract and saying, let's just build the best team we can and beat the piss out of everybody that comes in front of us? That's the question. That's the 31st birthday question. And that's the 40th episode. Please, for my birthday, this would be a great present. This is all I want from you. Subscribe, like, leave a comment, review, rate on all things podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, YouTube, every platform. Go around, share the likes, share the link, send this to one of your friends whose birthday it is, and we can reflect on ourselves and be proud of ourselves this year together. And as always, it's all love. God bless.
I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. I've been riding a wave like I surf. I've been leaning in and out of work. I could show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I've been riding a wave like I surf. I've been leaning in and out of work. I could show you what it's worth. Money to the ceiling. I started at the dirt. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear to God I get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear to God I get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go out past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear to God I get higher, man.